This morning at about 9:30 a.m., Ms. Goldy filed through our office an application to compel Bell Media to run her political ads during the election period for mayor. We earlier served a courtesy copy on the senior council administrative and regulatory for Bell, and they were not able to get a lawyer in court this morning. One of our lawyers is in court. We're trying to get a date very soon to argue it. We have to have an urgent date. The judge has to approve it. That's going on as we speak. The documents have been issued by the court and are being served despite the earlier service. It's a courtesy on council this morning. It may be served already. I'm not sure about that. But we have word that Bell can't get from Bell lawyers. They can't get anybody there today. So we're trying to find a time when we can argue it. And when that happens, we'll send out a notice. Let me tell you what happened in rough. You've all got these documents. The thick book that you don't have is all the original application affidavits. And the other book, which, well, you have this together with the application in the little booklet we gave you. And this is the written argument. It explains what we're doing and why we're doing it. So, what happened? Faith chose CP24 as a good outlet for her 30-second ad because, according to its own material, it reaches 1.55 million Torontonians every day. So it's a good and important outlet. She wanted to air a simple 30-second ad. Faith, could you just read that ad so we get a sense of
with pleasure.
What it was?
I'm Faith Goldy, and I want your vote for Toronto Mayor. It's time to take back our streets. Under John Tory, illegal guns and gangs have skyrocketed out of control. He's stripped our police of the tools they need to prevent crime, and now our city's murder rate is higher than New York. We can't afford another 4 years of weak leadership. As mayor, my top priority will be fighting crime. People shouldn't have to live in fear. And I will get this city moving again. That means an advocate for drivers who will fix our dilapidated roads and clear up congestion. I'm the only candidate who will put the taxpayer first. As mayor, I will conduct a line-by-line audit of the budget and cut the fat where it needs to be cut. I want fewer bureaucrats, but better results. For a tough on crime, easy on taxpayer Toronto, vote for me, Faith Goldy, on October 22nd, and let's bring back Toronto the Good.
That is an ad to which no one could take objection. We've remained throughout saying if there's any problem with the content of the ad, we're glad to change it, but no one has suggested we should or would. The contract was drawn up. It's a Bell contract. It was signed. They asked for a cash deposit. We paid the cash deposit, and they started work on preparing the ad. And then we get a phone call. Did you play that phone call?
Absolutely.
The transcript of this phone call is in your booklets, so you'll have the same sounds as this.
So just 2 seconds here for a moment. Can I just get you to open this? Sorry. Thanks. Got it. Here you have it.
We'll be able to run the ads. We're very sorry for the inconvenience, and we're going to refund your money by next week.
Okay, so what's the reason for not being able to run our ads?
We won't be able to run the ads. We're sorry for the inconvenience, and we'll refund your money by next week.
I'm a mayoral candidate, and as I understand it, rules are such that equal opportunity and access to media space is to be offered to all mayoral candidates. So what's happening here?
Jane, I'm sorry, we're not going to be able to run the ad. We're sorry for the inconvenience, and we'll refund your money by next week.
orders come from?
Faith, I'm sorry. We're not going to be able to run the ads. We're sorry for the inconvenience. We'll refund your money by next week. I'm sorry.
This strikes me as deeply Orwellian. You repeat the same sentence over and over again. Those are basic questions. I'm a mayoral candidate waiting to be on the ballot. I'm giving you a check, a certified check, so we know that the money's good. So what's wrong here? We have a legitimate business transaction, and I'm a mayoral candidate, and everyone else, I'm guessing, has access to your ads except for me.
Again, I'm sorry. We can't run the ads. I apologize for the inconvenience. I will refund your money by next week.
It's clearly not a matter of can't, it's a matter of won't. So who is telling you that you are not able to run my ads?
Again, Faith, I'm sorry. I'm not able to run the ads.
Right, I can see where precisely I want to go. All right, Adam, you have a great day. Now, how are we going to sort out you giving back the money that folks contributed to seeing this go forward?
Regarding the check, have it couriered to your address within a week. That's being expedited right now. Hopefully in the next 3 days, but I'm pushing for as soon as possible. Again, I'm sorry.
Well, I know that these orders didn't come from you. I know they came from above you. And regardless of anything else, I hope you realize that this is a very strange and sad state of affairs, and our Canadian democracy right now is quite seriously crumbling, and it is in great part due to and owing to this strange media bedfellowship with sick, elitist political interests. So, we'll leave it where it is. I just wish you could give me one reason why my ads are not going to be run in CMT4.
Again, I'm sorry for the inconvenience.
We'll talk soon, Adam.
Okay, bye.
So, this case is not merely a case of a breach of contract. It's about how a democracy functions. Without the oxygen of free speech, you can't have elections that are meaningful and free. And what we've got in this situation is that a media conglomerate decides to shut out a candidate and not to take her voice. And that's incompatible with the kind of democracy we care about. So we're going to court to challenge that. Let me just say that the law is very clear on this point. During an election period, and this is Section 8 of the Television Broadcast Regulations, during an election period, which is 2 months prior to an election, a licensee shall allocate time. The word shall, not may, or if you like, or if you feel like it, or if you like the candidate. A licensee shall allocate time for the broadcasting of programs, advertisements, or announcements of a partisan political character on an equitable basis to all accredited political parties and rival candidates. Now, that is being, we think, not adhered to. So we're going to court to ask that that be enforced. And we're also asking that an understanding of the importance of it should reflect Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms with its guarantee of freedom of expression. The government scheme sounds fine as a guarantee of free expression if it would be followed. But if it's not, Section 24 of the Charter provides a remedy, and the court, we hope, will impose a remedy of an injunction saying you must do this. So that's the outline. If there's any questions, we're happy to have them.
Have you filed a complaint with the CRTC?
No. It's unlikely that any complaint of the CRTC could be dealt with in the short period of time prior to an election.
Previous cases like this in which a candidate's objected to their treatment by a broadcaster have led to judges suggesting you're in the wrong court.
That may be done again, but in this case, the charter application is the proper home for a constitutional argument. It's the primary place where you make them. And there's no reason why under the Courts of Justice Act you can't ask the court to clarify the meaning of Section 8. Now, if an argument's made to the contrary, we're glad to it. But most of those cases are cases involving free broadcasts and who's going to be invited to speak. They're not cases involving paid advertisements.
The election is just weeks away. Are you hoping this can get expedited so that the commercials can see the light of day? Because time, of course, is of the essence.
Yes, we have a lawyer in court this morning who, together with the Bell people, who's not got a lawyer there. They didn't have time. We're going to try and get this on, we can, Thursday or the following Monday, but the date can't be set just yet. Because Bell hasn't got a lawyer. We're trying to go.
You say that Bell is exercising a governmental function in selling airtime.
Yes.
That's also a proposition that's been rejected in similar cases like this. Could you explain what you mean by Bell being
Sure. Whether your government, and the laws in this material so you can read it more carefully, depends on whether the function you are exercising is a governmental function, viewed, focused carefully on what you do. When Bell hires and fires people or puts them on pension or doesn't, those are not governmental functions. But when it decides who can use the public airways, which have been described by the CRTC as a public trust held by the broadcaster, then it's exercising a governmental function, and in that aspect, it's amenable to the courts, through the charter.
Have John Tory or Jennifer Keesmatt bought ads in this same on CP 24 as well?
I have no idea.
Is that
No, I asked and they never responded to my inquiry as to whether or not I was the only one who was being denied ad space.
the CRTC describes that rule as a conditional, that if you sell to everybody, or if you sell to one, you have to sell to all.
I think that's true, but it doesn't say you can refuse to sell to one. It says you've got to make the opportunity available to purchase, and that's not qualified. Once you do make the opportunity available, which you have to do during an election period, then you have to treat people fairly, and that's clear too from the Bell regulations. For example, no one may want to advertise in a small town where they're having a mayoral election, and that's so that none of this triggers. But if someone does want to advertise, they must, the word shall, provide an opportunity. And that makes sense if you think about it. Otherwise, by shutting out marginal candidates in advertising and focusing news on the major candidates in a shifted, warped way, they skew the outcome of the election. And that's not what broadcasters are allowed to do. It's inconsistent with the values of the CRTC, and it's inconsistent with Canadian values.
Can you explain to us what the difference is between equitable and equal?
Sure. Equal means everybody gets the same. Equitable means you can adjust that to deal with issues such as importance, repetition, and the like. But that doesn't arise here. We're not being told that we're going to have less time. We're being told we can't have any time, and we're given no reason.
Had they said anything more about the reasons?
No.
They said publicly that something about contravenes their standards.
Well, you've heard the ad. If it contravenes their standards, I'll be very surprised.
They haven't clarified what that might mean.
No. I would have thought if it didn't meet their standards, they'd say, okay, let's change this. Or they'd explain why it didn't meet the standards and ask for another copy. So I think that's just an early knee-jerk response before they've thought it through. Because that ad is not one that anyone could reject. That's it. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Your message to people who are not hearing your commercial. Tough on crime, easy on taxpayers. We're a no-nonsense platform that wants to put public safety above political correctness. On John Tory's watch, we've seen Toronto's murder rate skyrocket past New York City's. We've seen illegal gun crime up almost 200% in the last year alone. These are not the conditions that Torontonians are used to or should be subjected to. We have a common sense, results-oriented platform that focuses on giving police back the powers they used to have so that we can clean up our streets.
Are you hoping that this gets pushed forward quickly so that your ads can see the light of day before the election? Because time, of course, is of the essence.
There's no other option. We absolutely need to move forward with the utmost speed because we're 2 weeks away from E-Day, and the damages that have already been caused to this campaign through Bell Media's, I would argue, illegal actions have already been irreparable, and so we have to move forward with a tremendous amount of haste.
Anything else?
Perfect.
Thanks, everyone. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Of course. God bless. Are you live streaming?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Hey, everyone. I just want to say we just finished up a press conference here with Clayton Ruby. He's absolutely the top of the legal game here in Toronto. I'm a first-rate candidate, so of course I'm going to hire a first-rate lawyer. I want to tell you something very cool that happened behind the scenes that you folks didn't see. There was actually a gentleman who attended. I suppose he follows me on Twitter, and he's a resident at one of the nearby shelters called George Street, and he's come with a giant kind of manifesto, if you will, of things that we can do to make our city's shelter system better. And this is, of course, something that has been really the centerpiece of our platform going forward, and that's to put Toronto first. And we've really spotlighted our homeless. We want to take care of those who perhaps for various reasons, perhaps addiction or poor mental health has reared its ugly head. We want to make sure that our welfare system takes care of our own before we start to open up our gates to the world. So it was something that I was tremendously humbled by, and so I just want to tell you a little bit about a very interesting guy. We're going to look through this, and we're going to be sure to pay him a visit. I've heard of George Street before. I've seen some of the respite plans of developments that they're trying to do. We want to make sure that it's a spending of taxpayer money that actually reflects the needs of people who are using their services and not just the fat cats at the top. Thanks so much for tuning in, folks. I really, really appreciate it. Thanks for all the support. For more on our campaign, faithfortoronto.ca.